We take the summer off here at Village, but then we'll be back in September. And what I've loosely outlined for the school year, September through May of next year, is that we will visit the most compassionate, loving aspects of every world religion. And that way you will feel like when you're in conversation with people, you have something to offer, you have some information, some education. We're going to start with Native American theology, indigenous people, Islam, Judaism, Christianity, Buddhism, and some of us need to be reminded of the Christianity's most loving practices. And then Buddhism, Taoism, the I Ching and Tao from China, from Asia, and then Hinduism also, and Jainism. And we'll kind of look at some of these just beautiful things that we don't hear enough about. And then that would equip you to go out in the world. So each month we'll do that with the goal of each of you kind of forming a spirituality of your own and taking, these are all very good humans across the globe that are interpreting God and trying to make sense of being human. And that's how these religions developed. So I think sometimes we have to go back to the core. What was the inspiration for each of these religions? And did humans take it different directions? Yes. But if we go back to the beginning of love, then that kind of grounds us all in our own loving spirituality. So we will do that starting in September. But today, I was trying to decide on what to leave you with for the summer. And I'm going to give you some of my favorite practices from this book I wrote. There's 150 practices in here. We're going to cover what's on this list today and do a quick flyover to give you just some things I thought were really applicable to right now, to things you might experience this summer. I know your loving hearts. I know how some of us struggle with inner critics and can't sleep at night and these kinds of things. So I'm going to give you some tools to use for the summer. So we're going to do that today, and then I have a couple books to give away. That's what the drawing's for. Sorry, it's not $1 million.
It's worth more.
Oh, thank you, Laura. Yes, thank you. It's priceless. All right, you guys are good. Okay, we're going to start with, some of these might be familiar to you. Some of them I weave in my different topics that we've discussed this year, but they're always good reminders. And sometimes I find when I open my book up, I'm like, oh my gosh, I needed this today. I'd kind of forgotten about it. So that's what I'm going to show you some of the favorites today. Okay, we're going to start with this one, because I think practicing self-compassion is one of the most important things we can do to be a loving human out in the world. If we're beating ourselves up and judging ourselves, we start to get judgmental of other people too. So if we want to be loving people in the world, we've got to practice self-compassion. And if we are loving out in the world, but we're holding ourselves to a very impossible standard, then we're not really practicing enough compassion. So look at this woman on the sidewalk, and let's say we're following her. And we're on this cobbled, beautiful street in Europe, and she falls suddenly in front of us. And her coffee spills, and her purse goes everywhere, and she's turned her ankle. What do?
Help her.
You help her. And what do you say when you're helping? Are you okay?
Yes.
What else?
How can I help
How can I help you? I'll stay with you. I'll pick up all the stuff. It's going to be okay, right? In a split second, you show her compassion. Charles Darwin, at the end of his life, said, I have concluded humans are hardwired for compassion, and that will be the continuation of the species. Because people won't mate if they're mean to each other. And so we won't have a continuation of the species if we get really mean to each other. So he actually reversed a lot of his survival of the fittest stuff in his last work. He says, actually, that's not true. Survival of the most compassionate. We just don't quote that work enough. But when I found that, UC Berkeley has a whole study on his the compassion of Charles Darwin. And when I found that, I was like, okay, this is the truth of what it means to be human, is to love another person. So in a split second, you're hardwired for compassion, and you go to help her. Now let's say that's you that tripped and fell. What's your inner dialogue with yourself? Oh my gosh, you're so clumsy. So embarrassed. Who saw this? I feel so stupid. Right? You shouldn't have worn those shoes. You're always in a hurry. You're a hot mess.
Ouch.
Ouch. My ankle really hurts. How embarrassing. Exactly. You're an idiot. You're a klutz. Yeah. Okay.
Ginger, how about I'm going to be late and that will probably put someone else out.
Exactly. So when that person, perfect. When that person says, "Can I help you?" What do you say?
No. I'm okay.
I'm fine. No, you go ahead. Yeah, right? There you go. A lack of self-compassion. So you are hardwired to bring comfort and help to another human being. And yet, in your weak moments, you turn on yourself. We all do. And especially as women. We just are so good at abandoning ourselves in times of pain. So, the beginning of self-compassion is to honor your own suffering, because that's what you're made of. You are made as a human being who honors and feels the suffering of others, and you understand our connectedness and our shared human experience. But then when we deny our own suffering, we're actually not practicing what we preach. We're actually being a little inconsistent with compassion. And this was so hard for me to learn. This was a foreign language because I thought, I would have argued 10 years ago that beating myself up was the secret to my success, right? I keep getting better if I criticize myself. But what that led to was an angry midlife crisis where I was not sure of myself at all. I had zero confidence. I thought everything I was doing was horrible. I thought I was the world's worst mother. And that was just creating resentment, bitterness, anger inside of me. When I found the work, and there's 4 centers of self-compassion research, the University of Texas in Austin, Kristen Neff is kind of the pioneer of it. Chris Germer has an institute at Harvard. UC Berkeley has a center, and Stanford has a center, all looking at the clinical research, over 25 years of clinical data on the power of being kind to yourself and how that will make us a more loving species. So there's a lot in the book. There's a whole section on practicing self-compassion, but that idea of when you fall, how you talk to yourself is just such an important teaching point that I hope you will just consider a little bit. When you make a mistake, when you are suffering, when you are ill, when you are down and out, what are you doing for yourself? And how would you treat somebody else? So would you say that to a stranger? Would you say that to a friend? That's a very helpful practice to kind of catch yourself on, like, why am I being so mean to myself? I would never say this to another human being. Any insights on that one? Anybody use that one or have an example of how you use it? Anything come to mind?
Being able to laugh at yourself. Too.
That's a good one too. Like, hold it gently. Yeah, like loosely. Not so perfect, not so buttoned up. Yeah, that's good. Like, I'm human. I messed up today. Yeah, and it might be funny. Oftentimes it is funny. Speaking from experience. Exactly. Does anyone struggle to sleep at night right now? Yes. So the University of Michigan has some great studies on the middle of the night kind of anxiety. And one of theirs that really stuck with me was when you wake up at 3 a.m., 4 a.m., whatever your magic time is that's the same every middle of the night, your brain is hardwired to be afraid because this is part of our evolutionary brain. It's the primal part of our brain, primitive part of our brain that's scared in the dark because a lion could be entering the cave to eat me. So anytime you wake up suddenly in the dark, you're hardwired to be a little afraid. The problem is then we feed that fear with our worries, with the things we shouldn't have said yesterday, with I wonder if she's mad at me, I wonder if I messed that up, I wonder, right? Then we feed the 3 a.m. anxiety. So what to do is understand I'm always going to wake up a little anxious, but then where do I take my brain? Don't feed the anxiety at 3 a.m. So some tricks. Some tricks are, I used to lay there and redo my kitchen. Like, if I bulldozed the whole thing, how would I lay it out, right? And Rob was like, this is very expensive. I'm like, it doesn't mean I'm ever gonna actually do it. It's just my 3 a.m. trick. Because, like, what if the oven was over there? Or what if the refrigerator was over there, right? It's just a 3 a.m. trick to imagine something else. You can plan your next vacation. You can think about one of the most wonderful memories you have with littles or grandkids. You can imagine this beautiful piece of art in your mind. You can create something. You can think about a recipe that you want to make. Anything besides worry and anxiety the University of Michigan studies have shown you're more likely to go back to sleep within 15 minutes. If you take your brain somewhere else. But if you stay up, if you take it to anxiety, you're likely to spend for an hour or two, right? Because now your amygdala's triggered, your nervous system's triggered. Yeah, Anna.
I have a comment about that.
Yeah.
Because that actually doesn't work. When I wake up in the middle of the night and it's anxiety or whatever, I'm just trying to go back to sleep. If I start thinking about redoing my kitchen or I start thinking about, my brain actually starts going into active mode.
Yeah.
And I then can't go back to sleep.
Yes.
I've done that before, where like it's nothing stressful. It's just that I'm already now like down the street and planning something, and I can't stop. So I can't go back to sleep.
What does work for you?
So my daughter woke up in the middle of the night last night, and I was like, okay, Olivia, I want you to go through the alphabet.
Okay, yes.
The first round is just foods. So
Okay,
A, apple,
yep.
B, banana, C, and then I wanted her to think. The next round is animals.
Okay,
And she said that helped her
that is good.
go to sleep.
So I do the alphabet with gratitude. Something I'm grateful for every letter. And that is good. I like that.
But then your brain can't just start like spinning.
Okay, so if you have a planning brain like Anna, don't do your kitchen. Do the alphabet. And so the alphabet's very good. I mean, I've gone through it twice sometimes because my brain gets busy too. But gratitude is always a good practice in the middle of the night. If planning isn't your thing, prayer is beautiful. I like to think of that like liminal space. So most of America is asleep right now. So I have God all to myself, right? Yeah, and that helps me sometimes at 3 a.m. And obviously, that's not true. I don't have God all to myself, but it feels like, ooh, this is sacred, special time with just me and God. And that can be a really beautiful 3 a.m. practice that takes me out of anxiety. Yeah.
I listen to Kate Bowler.
Oh, yeah, that's
On a
good.
very low volume.
That's good. Yeah.
Sometimes I just set the timer maybe for
Yep.
10 minutes or 15, whatever I think I need. and
Good.
her voice is
Perfect.
soothing.
Yeah, listening to something is so great. Perfect. Oh, Richard Rohr is so comforting. Yeah. If you have the Insight Timer app, I know some of you do meditation on that. Yoga Nidra, Nidra, those are really good meditations to go back to sleep. They're very, very calming. So if you have Insight Timer, it's a beautiful app for calm and meditation. And you just need the free version. There's tons available in the free version.
I'm with
Yes.
Anna. I'm down the street with her. But I find that I can go back to sleep if I write it down. And
Okay.
then unload it.
Good.
And I can go back to sleep.
Perfect. I love that. So keep a notebook next to your bed or note cards next to your bed. Love it. Write it down. Yeah.
Don't look at your phone.
No. Do not look at your phone. That's the challenge with playing something on your phone is then it's like this abyss into scrolling. But yeah, so just understand whatever works for you is the tool to use. Understand that you are hardwired to wake up afraid and you have to take your brain somewhere else. Okay, you have to take your brain another place, but you are hardwired to wake up worried. But you can reassure yourself there is no lion in this bedroom. I am fine. Actually, in this moment, I am fine. Right? That's a beautiful, I have to do that one a lot for anxiety. In this moment, right here, I'm fine. And then in this moment, I'm still fine. And then in this moment, and we get through the day that way. Another one is, yes, the power of yet. Okay, so this 3-letter little word is so powerful for your brain. And Carol Dweck is the leading research on this growth mindset work. But give me something you can't do. Give me a phrase. You can't play what? An instrument. You can't. What can't you do? Can't run a marathon. Can't read music. Can't read music. Kim, you cannot read music yet. Right? So if I can't read music, that's a fixed mindset. That tells my brain I'll never be able to read music. If I introduce the word yet, you can feel that glimmer of hope. You can feel a sliver of possibility that maybe it's learnable, right? I can't read music yet. Somebody else give me one.
After my knee
Yes,
replacement,
yes.
I was so sad when I tried to do yoga because I couldn't do it.
I can't do yoga.
Friend said, yeah.
Yet. Perfect. I can't do yoga yet. That's so good for recovery.
But I didn't think it was going to happen.
Yes. This is such a good practice for a time of recovery. I can't do it yet, but this is temporary. Good.
I just thought of a funny one because I was thinking, all my little grands are in gymnastics, and I'm thinking, I can't do gymnastics anymore. I mean, I used to be able
Yes.
to, but I can do yoga.
Yes. Adult gymnastics.
But I see, just
Yes.
from what you were saying, I'm like,
You can
I'll
do
replace
yoga.
it with what I can do.
Exactly. Yes. And I bet you could do a somersault if you wanted to, Julie.
Probably.
I can't do it yet. I might have to work up to it. Yeah. Feel
They let me
the
do.
shift of hope. Yeah. Somebody had one.
Go back to sleep yet.
I can't go back to sleep yet. You're giving yourself hope. That's good. You're giving yourself hope. Beautiful. That's right. So the word yet, clinically studied, I mean, it is possibility. It's seeing possibility instead of finality. And I think that this is just so good for our anxious, worried hearts and minds, is to come back to, it's not the way I want it yet, right? Or I can't do that yet. But it gives you hope. Do this with your grandchildren and your children, right? I'm not good at math yet. Yes, Molly?
My daughter, she's 5. She actually says this all the time
Oh.
because Gabby's Dollhouse.
Yes.
favorite shows,
Oh.
She makes a big deal about, I can't do it. Yeah.
Oh, awesome.
And always says like, oh, I can't do that.
Gabby's Dollhouse. I haven't seen it. I love that.
And mostly cats.
Oh, perfect. Amazing. Oh my gosh. Don't you wish you would have learned this as a child? Yes. Yes. Gabby's Dollhouse. Where is it, Molly?
I think Disney.
Disney? Okay, good.
Might be Netflix.
Oh my gosh. That's so great. Okay, perfect. The power of yet. There are children's books written on this too. If you want to give somebody a gift, a child a gift, there's books on it. Okay, the compassionate pause. This is one of my favorites, and it has 3 elements to it for your notes. First element, say your own name. Second element, hold your body, either your heart, your arms, your legs, like touch your soul through physical touch. And then something encouraging. So, Ginger, this is hard. You're going to be okay. That's a compassionate pause. It's that simple. The elements that have been studied on this are the power of saying your own name, the power of holding your own hand, your own heart, just like you would a child, hugging a child, picking them up. This is what, if a toddler fell, this is what you would do, right? You would say their name, you would hold them, and you would give them some hope. It's going to be okay. But yes, it hurts. You also acknowledge, you're validating, it hurts, and I'm here with you. That's a compassionate pause. My favorite study on this one comes from a residency program with emergency department residents. And they, in the study, in this trauma unit, half the group of residents just went bed to bed to bed to next one. And half the group was told to take a 5-second compassionate pause between patients. And it was just these elements. The patients of the physicians that did the compassionate pause reported much more compassionate care and loving and had better health outcomes, but a loving experience with their physician. Those in the trauma unit that just went bed to bed, their scores were much lower. So yeah, it's powerful. And my friend runs the night ED at Truman Medical Center, University Health now. And so I speak to her residents every year. And it's so interesting because I can see the looks in their faces, and I'm usually speaking at 6 a.m. when they're coming off the night shift. So they're tired and they're done, and I'm fluffy, and they don't want this lovey stuff. But it's so interesting because I'll watch their response of like planting a seed a little bit, and then inevitably I will hear that this has become part of our language. Like, dude, you need a compassionate pause. Take 5 seconds is usually how they refer to it instead of using the word compassionate pause, but it works and they know it and they're starting to experience it. And so you can, if you're in a group of women and somebody says something and triggers you, you can just go to the bathroom for a second. I know this is hard, that hurt, we're gonna be okay. That alone gives your brain a dopamine hit, a serotonin hit, some good endorphins, some neurotransmitters. You feel less alone in the world. It really, really helps. So just start incorporating compassionate pauses. When I first learned this, I noticed I would do it in traffic. So I'd be late, chronically, and it's just how I roll. I love that about myself now, but we're working. I was early today. Let's a win for today. But I would notice that when I was late and traffic stopped, or I missed the light, or I was amped up, I would just do that. Like, Ginger, you're gonna be okay. You're gonna get there when you get there. It's all right. Right? And that I could feel the transformation in that moment. So just find something where you could practice this a little bit and just see if you start to feel it. It's powerful. It's probably one of my very, very favorite life-changing practices if we actually do it. Okay, another one I love. You guys might be familiar with this one because I love the intersection of neuroscience and psychology and theology. That's my little happy place. And so when I was learning neuroscience, I was learning about neural pathways. Neural pathways are literally become hardwired in our brain, and it's really just a belief system. It's a belief. So any belief we have today was repeated to us enough times that it created a neural pathway. That's a belief. A belief is a repeated thought in neuroscience. Yes, repeated. Yep. Yes, or habit. Yes, a repeated behavior, a repeated thought. So in stroke research, in paralysis research, in all that field of medicine in the last 10 years, we have concluded that the brain has neuroplasticity, which means it can be rewired. We can create new neural pathways. We can learn to use our legs again. We can recover from a stroke. We can retrain the brain. This is newish thinking in neuroscience. Super exciting for us on the planet right now because it says anything can be rewired and learned. Any belief can be changed. So even though that might feel hard to believe sometimes, with repetition, it can be changed and learned and rewired. So I use cattle paths as an example on this, a teaching point on this, because I grew up spending the summers on my grandpa's cattle ranch in the Flint Hills. And the summer that I was really studying neuroscience and doing the certification in it, it was on repeat, the neural pathway thing in my head. And I'm riding through the Flint Hills, and there is literally a path, a cattle path, and it just clicked of like, oh wait, this is a neural pathway. So the cattle, this is my dad's actual pasture. The cattle follow that path every day at 5 o'clock to the pond, all summer long, clockwork. And it's so fun because we can sit out there and watch the sunset and watch the cattle come down and get a drink, and then they walk back on the same path. And yet over here, I'll take a bigger picture this summer, but over here is this beautiful high bluff where the wind would cool them down and the views are amazing, and it's actually a shorter path to the pond, but they never go that way. They never go that way. So it just hit me on a horse when I took this picture of like, this is what we do. We just go head to tail down the same path over and over again on autopilot our whole lives. And we miss so much because we won't stretch our brains to see a different view or go a different way. Yes, Kim?
Does that tie in with the theory about you need to do something 3 weeks in a row to form a habit?
Yes, exactly. Yep. The 21 days, 30 days loosely is a rewiring. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Do they have a leader, the cows?
It switches.
Follow the same
It switches. It switches.
interesting.
I know, it's very interesting. The thing that I'll try to get a video of this for you guys since you're interested in it. But the leader does switch because I've watched that. But one phenomenon that's consistent is when they all have calves, there will be a babysitter. And the calves, a few of the moms will watch all the calves and the other moms go off and graze. And that rotates. The babysitter rotates. I know, it's phenomenal. I want to write a small book just on the behavior of cattle because it's taught me so much about being human. Yes. Kate?
One thing that I have committed to learning, but that is super hard, is using proper pronouns. And sometimes even without asking maybe, I'm like actually just using the right ones. But I don't feel like I have enough, I don't have 3 weeks in a row.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So, but I've just been working on it, and then last week I was at a conference and a friend of mine is married to someone who changed their pronoun. And I said, how's so-and-so, is he doing, or what are they doing next year? And I didn't even apologize.
You did
I
they.
just correct, and it
Yeah.
just went. And I noticed, oh my gosh, I'm doing it. Like,
Yes.
I'm coming into this new thing. So
I love
it's still
it.
going to take practice, but it was kind of fun to see.
Yeah.
Like, that's, I'm making
That's
a
it.
pathway.
I've found it doesn't take a ton of repetition to actually make a difference. Yeah,
But
so
it
it's
does
worth
take-
doing.
I don't really know.
Intention.
But I really care about Shannon.
Yeah.
And so I wanted to get it right.
You had the intention. That's right. That's beautiful. Really beautiful. Yep, intention and repetition will do it. That's beautiful.
Well, and it really helped me just because being aware of it.
Yes. Aware that it's a cattle path. Exactly. Yep. And that's 80% of our stuff is awareness, and then 20% is changing it, But if you are open to seeing, oh, wait, that might be a cattle path in my brain, that might be something I just grew up hearing, and I need to stretch it out a little bit, that's beautiful. That's love. That's love. Okay, another one. All right. So inner roommates. Anybody have that voice when you look in the mirror that says, you look tired. You didn't sleep enough last night. Your hair is really a mess. Oh my gosh, did anybody see you this morning? Because that mascara is all over your face. You should have washed your face last night, right? Does anybody hear that? That's an inner, yeah.
Night shift.
Yes, that is an inner roommate. That is an inner roommate that gives like a commentary of everything you're doing. You're driving too fast, you're driving too slow. You got in the wrong lane at the grocery store. That one's moving much faster than the one you picked, right? Maybe you should go over there, maybe you shouldn't. No, just stay right here. No, you should go over there, right? That's an inner roommate. Yes, aware of it now? Yeah, we all have it. And sometimes it's just commentating in general, but sometimes it gets really critical and cruel. Right? And that is what we want to be aware of, is that which roommate am I listening to? And actually, the psychological study of internal family systems is beautiful at teaching this kind of work, that you have many parts of yourself. You have many roommates. The movie Inside Out, that is based on these inner roommates, right? They highlight the emotions that are inside you, but the founder, Richard Schwartz of Internal Family Systems, was a contributor to that movie. And so it's based in good psychology. But the idea is you have many parts of yourselves. And we have all the ages of me, all the versions of me, all the vocations of me. Those are still in me, right? And they chime in every once in a while. So it's up to me to manage the roommates because they're in there. And I make the house rules. You each make the house rules in the house of you. And which roommate has the power? Which roommate are you listening to? Which roommate needs to move to the basement for a while, right? And who gets the better bedroom because they're encouraging and helpful, right? You own the house of you. And so sometimes we have to tune into these roommates, tune into the chatter that they offer us, the commentary, and then we're the house manager. Right, so you can even name them. I named my critic Frank for some reason. I don't want to offend Franks. It just came to me because it was Frank, like Frank with truth. And so I would just be like, Frank, not now, not now. And Grace, my inner encourager, be like, Grace, I need you right now. you tell me how this talk is going to go, Grace, because Frank's telling me it's going to be horrible. Right? But I have that conversation with Grace and Frank a lot, often. And I have to stay in the power of these voices, not letting Frank stop me. Because if I listened to Frank, I'd stay in bed all day and do nothing and never take a risk and never go out in the world. Because Frank's trying to keep me safe, so I can appreciate that about him. He just has a very harsh tone and way of doing it that I don't appreciate. Yes, Julie.
That sounds like, it makes me think of the good wolf and the bad wolf.
Yes, exactly. Which one you feed?
Which one you feed?
Exactly. That Native American story of, which one are you going to feed? Within, it's told as an elder, grandpa,
yes.
right, saying, son, within you, you have a good wolf and a bad wolf. And he said, which one's bigger?
And the little one says, who will win?
Who will win? And grandpa says, it depends on which one you feed. Yeah, that's good, Julie. I'm glad you brought that up. Yeah.
I feel like that we're going to have our mothers as roommates
Yes.
the rest of our lives.
Yes.
And all the good and bad that goes with that.
Yes, yes. And they are just one roommate. You own the house, though. Yeah, you own the house. And so, yes, they are contributors, but try to filter through, is that how I want to live now? Is that my voice, or is that my mother's voice? Yeah, yeah, that's an important point. It really is. This is your 100 years on the planet. She got hers. You get yours. This is your 100 years on the planet. What are you going to do with it? Right? That's an important,
Question
yeah.
for you,
Yes.
based on my favorite thing that Michelle O'Neill, I think, ever said. which
She's back there.
was- Yes. I remember this so well. It's so funny. She said, I think that men have inner roommates, but they're all like bros. And they're all saying, giving each other high fives.
Yep.
all the time. You're awesome. You're handsome. You're athletic. You're
That's good.
hilarious. And women's inner roommates are more critical.
That's great.
Do you, so which I think about constantly, because I see that in a lot of men at my age and older especially, but do you think, or is there any research to show that like women have more inner roommates, good, bad, and in between,
Yeah.
than men? Because I feel like we do.
I can speak to it with a couple pieces of data. Deepak Chopra, the Chopra Center, said women have about 80,000 thoughts a day,
Yeah.
and men have about 3,000 or 4,000 thoughts a day. So that piece of research would support more noise, more chatter, more thoughts going through your head. And then, of course, it depends on the man. There are sensitive, beautiful men in our lives that do have strong inner critics, and they need to do the same work we're doing to quiet that critic. The men that I work with, I see their critic increase, retirement, and aging because they feel a lack of purpose. They don't like what their bodies are doing. Those bros aren't saying, hey, you're the hottest one out there, right? So I think that age might matter. I think sensitivity levels might matter. I think lived experiences matter. If you heard a critic a lot, then you're going to have a louder critic inside. And then the thought research is my first response.
Yeah, so that makes me think that they have maybe critics who are as strong, but fewer of them. They just have like Frank and Grace.
Maybe, yeah.
Whereas I feel like I have legions.
Yes,
of
you do.
roommates.
You do.
All vying for time.
Yep.
And vocalization in my
Yeah.
I think women are better at listening to them.
Yes.
Yeah.
We tune in.
They probably have as many, but they aren't as aware.
That's a really good point. Yeah, maybe we listen. Yeah.
I think once men start aging, because they aren't as adaptive as we are
Yep.
at these many, many voices, that's why they struggle.
Yep.
When their vocabulary no longer fits their narrative.
That's right. Very good. Exactly. Very good points. Yeah, so good. Yeah. Yeah. The next one is, this one is about a power differential kind of in your brain. So monsters versus mosquitoes. So if you're dreading something, this one's really applicable for dread. We start to make this dreaded thing a monster in our lives. So I'll use an example of a client who had a longtime boyfriend, had broken up with that boyfriend. She was devastated, and it's about 6 months later, and we're going to a co-friend's wedding. And so we're gonna run into the ex-boyfriend. And so we were preparing for that and talking through it. And this practice helped her get through that moment because she had created the wedding as a monster, right? This is going to be horrible. This is going to take me down. I'm going to see him and start crying. I'm going to have all these emotions. It's going to ruin my time. Maybe I won't even go to one of my good friends' weddings because it means encountering him. And so I'm listening to her process the monster, and I was like, or those 3 seconds at the bar when you see him for a minute might be a mosquito, right? It's going to bite. It's going to hurt. But it's a little mosquito, and you can handle a mosquito. You can go to this wedding, and 95% of the wedding could be amazing for you. Yes, you're gonna have to make eye contact with him, and somebody's gonna tell you he's over there, and that's gonna be awkward. But that's a mosquito in the big scheme of things, and you can handle mosquitoes. And so she went to the wedding. It worked out that way, that it was just one encounter. She never saw him again, and she had a great time. But I asked her if I could use that as an example because it was such a perfect example of what we do when we're dreading something, when we're scared. We give it power. She was giving this ex-boyfriend and the whole encounter this power to ruin her, when really it's gonna hurt, yeah, but it's 3 seconds of pain. In the big scheme of things, you can handle that. So it was a power differential in the sense that she was giving that encounter power, and then she took back her power. I can handle this. I can have an awkward 3-second conversation and move on. So monster versus mosquito is a very helpful one in your head if you're giving something the power to upset you and the power to take you down and ruin you, right? No, that's a mosquito. It still hurts. But we can handle it. Kate.
Okay, my brain would say, but what if that mosquito gives me the Zika virus and I die? Did I make a monster out of the mosquito?
You just made a monster of the mosquito. Take back your power. Let's go with that. Okay, so you get the Zika virus. Do you have any power to fight the Zika virus?
Maybe.
There you go. The Zika virus might be a mosquito. But see, you just gave the whole story the monster power.
Well, and then when I think about just, okay, the 3 seconds, okay, so maybe even if I had Zika virus for 3 seconds,
Yep.
you know,
Yep.
that's not gonna kill me.
There you go. There you go. You can always take back power in every example. We could even argue death is you can take back your power from death.
But I mean, I keep asking, so what if it is a monster?
Yeah.
Then what?
Yeah.
It's gonna be okay?
What would you do? You can slay monsters.
Yeah, I mean, like,
You can slay dragons.
asking yourself, but what if?
Exactly. Yep.
Then it's gonna be okay.
Yep. Yeah. Leah.
My competitive nature says, don't let them steal your joy.
That's right. That's it. Don't let them win. This person that hurt you, don't let them win. Exactly. There you go. Perfect. So good. Okay, the next one. Time's going fast. Okay, so this one is so helpful for when somebody is kind of pulling you down, discouraging you a little bit. It's also helpful to realize sometimes I might be doing that to somebody. So this comes from nature. The crab bucket phenomenon is this idea that if you're picking up crabs on the beach, you don't have to put a lid on the bucket. Nobody's getting out. The crabs, one crab will start to go back and his friends will pull him back down. Because buddy, if I'm getting boiled tonight, so are you. You're not going back to the beach in happy land. We're going down together. So I did verify it. There are some videos people have posted. They're really gross crab videos. So I made it a cartoon. But the phenomenon holds, some other writers have used it too, of this idea. Where I applied it was like in sociology and human behavior. We have a tendency to do this, right? If I want something and you just got it, I'm a little jealous. And instead of turning that jealousy into, that's a message that I really want that. That's a practice in the book of like jealousy as a messenger instead of a bad trait. Jealousy is, I want that too. That doesn't mean I don't want you to have it. I just want it too. The crab bucket is, no, nobody gets it if I don't get it, right? And that's where we have to sometimes watch, like, am I the miserable crab in the bottom of the bucket pulling people down? Because I'm not willing to climb out and swim back to the ocean, right? Or I have to see that, ooh, this might be a crab bucket moment where I'm shining too brightly and people want to take me down a notch, right? That happens too. It's a phenomenon in nature. So we just could be aware of it and then act accordingly. Yeah.
This is it's kind of correlated to this. I read a study too in psychology where they had these, I don't know if it was dogs or monkeys, but they had these two dogs, and every time they tried to jump to get the food, they'd be shocked. Like, so, you know, eventually they stopped jumping to get the food, but what happened is they'd bring in a new dog that they wouldn't be shocked. But that new dog just started following whatever the first dog was doing, knowing that's just what you do.
Yes.
Not knowing that he gets shocked, you just don't jump over that hurdle.
Exactly.
And they moved out the other dog that was shocked, and they had two dogs that had never been shocked, but they both knew you don't jump over that.
Yep.
Interesting.
And they never tried it.
That's so
They
good.
just followed
Right. Follow.
what the leader had taught them, and they never challenged it.
Yep. So there's cultural studies on this. Like in certain cultures, it's not cool to go to college, right? So I just won't go to college because I don't want to be shamed for wanting an education. Yeah. And that research backs those kind of cultural phenomenons of like, that's not what we do. Families do that too, right? Families shame the one that wants to get out. So it's a learned behavior in that I don't see anybody else going to college, so I won't do it either, right? Exactly. That kind of research is used in cultural awareness a lot. Changing paradigms. Exactly. I'm glad you brought it up. Yeah, it's fascinating. It's fascinating human behavior and animal behavior, crustacean behavior. Okay, another one. Your brain, this is one of those default mode things, is your brain is always going to give you the worst case scenario first. Just is. Because your brain's job is to keep you safe. So it's always going to say, I know you want to cross that street, but be careful, there's cars coming. Right? Thank you, brain, you're keeping me safe. But what we do sometimes is listen to, oh, I could get hit by a car. Oh, so I'll never cross a street. And we let that worry, that worst case scenario, start to get louder and louder. And so what we have to do is nuance our brain to say, yeah, but it also might be fantastic. I might cross the street safely because I'm going to look both ways. And then your brain's on board and says, okay, let's go do it. You've got this. You have a plan. So it might be fantastic is not just Pollyanna-ing it, right? It's not just saying, oh, what if it's wonderful? It's also saying it has the potential to be wonderful because of these reasons. That's where you really get the neurological boost from this practice. So positive psychology is just like, it's all awesome, right? That turns into toxic positivity. It's not all awesome. But it might be fantastic adds a why. Why might it be fantastic? And then you get the deeper neurological benefit from it. So this one's important from an awareness standpoint to know my brain is just trying to keep me safe 100% of the time. That's its job, keep me alive. So it will give me worst case scenarios. I have to ping pong it into, but what if it's great? But what if it's great? So any type of change or new thing, this one's very applicable, right? This new thing, I might move to this city. What if it's the wrong decision? What if it's fantastic, right? What if I had somebody that was buying a house and she had a million reasons why this might not be a good idea. Turns out she did it, and the woman next door is in the career that she's always dreamt of being in. And so, like, maybe it wasn't necessarily about the house, but it was that you were supposed to live next door to this person, right? So that's the kind of stuff that if we let the worst case scenario always flood us, we forget a bigger picture might be happening here, and it could be great.
Back to the wedding scenario.
Yes, exactly. What if it's no big deal? Exactly. Nuancing your brain is super important. It's just brain management. Okay, returning to neutral. This one's tricky. Marilyn, who's not here today, this one was her favorite because she was like, this was life-changing, mind-blowing when she first heard it. So return to neutral is this idea, and this is going to be unsettling. You're going to have to cook on it the rest of the day, that everything is indeed neutral, not good or bad, until we label it as such. I know. Now you're going to say, but this is good and this is bad, and yep, that's just your brain doing its thing. But actually, everything is neutral until a human labels it good or bad. It exists. So the way I have to learn this is with the rain, because my brain wanted to challenge it too, of like, no, there is right or wrong. There is good and bad. Well, according to me, there's right or wrong and good and bad. But somebody else could argue the opposite, right? So everything is indeed neutral. And if you're fighting that, it's just your ego wanting to be right. So just sit with that a little bit and be like, okay, ego, I see you. Let's talk about this a little bit. The rain is a perfect example of neutral. Rain is going to fall, whether it ruins Ginger's day or makes Ginger's day great. Whether I want it for my flowers or it's going to make my hair frizzy, right? It's me putting a label on the rain today. But that rain is neutral. That rain is going to exist. And so if you can come back to nature to start to nuance your brain, but we are fed from a very young age what is right and wrong, and we are programmed deeply on right and wrong. And this one, I don't have time today to like really chew on it with you, but I do hope you'll just sit with it a little bit. This one's uncomfortable for some people. But if you start to chip away at it a little bit and say, okay, what if I return to love? Then what does this issue look like, right? And then you just start to chip away at whatever doesn't feel like neutral to you. You'll get there. But this one's very applicable in all of our lives to things that upset you. Yeah. So the dress is too tight. It's neutral. I'm saying it's too tight. That dress exists in my closet, whether I wear it or not, right? The dress is neutral. So my weight is neutral. My body is actually neutral. I'm labeling it good or bad. Yeah.
Sadness.
Yeah, sadness is neutral. Sadness can be a gift to you. Sadness can be an invitation into seeing things deeply. Sadness can be an invitation into love. But sadness can also be something we never want to feel or experience. Right? So just everything that you want to say it's bad, try to take it to, because it is neutral. Sadness is, some people would say that's when I had the best connection to God, or that's when I had the best epiphany, right? And other people would say that was the worst time of my life.
Or failure.
Or failure. Failure,
Yeah, that's
neutral. Yeah, yeah.
Well, I do this a lot with emotions.
Yes.
Because I learned in therapy, emotions aren't good or bad.
Yes.
At first I thought it was,
Exactly.
yes. But now I can
Exactly.
say, I am so sad or having so much self-doubt, and I thought, this isn't bad. It's just uncomfortable.
Exactly.
And I can be uncomfortable for a little while.
Perfect.
And it's gonna threaten me. And so I feel like even though I didn't buy into it at first, I'm even trying to teach my kids, okay, it's not bad to feel mad.
Perfect.
It's really uncomfortable, and we're gonna get through it. So it kind of goes along too with the learning to hear the roommate that says you can do hard things,
Yep.
or you can do this, or you can do anything for an hour, or
Yes, exactly, Kate, that's beautiful. So no emotion is good or bad, that's very good, that. And then this is just uncomfortable, it's not necessarily bad. Very good points. Yeah, yeah. Okay, we got a couple more. Okay. This is our little buddy who reminds us. So when you are trying to make a decision, if you are somebody that's a people pleaser and you say yes to a lot of things, that then you're there and you're like, why did I say yes to this? I didn't want to do this. This is a practice for you. And I think women get themselves in these situations a lot because we just don't want to disappoint anybody. And yet then we're a little lukewarm and when we're there, or even resentful when we're there. So this tool can help you avoid resentment better than a lot of others. Okay, so tune in with yourself. Is this a hell yes, I cannot wait to be in the room with those people and stand on my feet for 4 hours because I love those people so much? If this is a hell yes, I can't wait, then I'm going to that thing. If it is those people make me feel horrible about myself and my feet are going to hurt and I don't want to go to this thing and I always come away feeling drained and upset, then that's a no. That's a no. And it's hard. Yes. Are you going to disappoint somebody? Yes. There's a practice in the book that's 37 ways to say no. You can use one of those. And yes, and there's another one that says disappoint somebody, because when you save yourself, somebody's going to be disappointed. Again, as Kate said, they're going to be uncomfortable for a little bit. We can all handle uncomfort. But what it does for you if you keep saying yes to everything is it just builds resentment. And resentment is the key thing that ruins our relationships. And John Gottman has written a lot of relationship books, and he says that he has this scale, but it's resentment where the problems start, and then it goes to disgust. And when you're disgusted with that person, it's over. But resentment is your warning flag of like, ooh, I'm feeling a little resentment. Okay. And one of my favorite sayings is, if you have resentment, it's because you didn't have a boundary. And if you have boundaries, you won't have resentment. And boundaries don't mean I'm pushing you away. Boundaries mean I'm going to protect myself.
Ginger, can you
Yeah. If you have resentment, it's because you didn't have a boundary. And if you have boundaries, you won't have resentment. And it stuck with me because I had a lot of resentment and no boundaries. And so I had to work on this.
Because you're a giver.
Yes, I'm a giver, and it's hard. It's hard to learn this stuff, but it's so empowering but self-compassion is part of that, because I have to be worth protecting. And I had to learn that part because I wasn't really worth protecting. If you're all happy, I'm happy. Well, then wait a minute. So that's how kind of you churn through that work. Okay, here's another one on self-compassion. This comes from Zen Buddhism, and it's just such a beautiful, beautiful teaching. So the world will shoot you with arrows. We will have loss. We will have pain. We will have illness. None of us make it out of here unscathed. We will be shot with arrows. The real suffering comes when I shoot myself with a second arrow. So this might show up of, I'm diagnosed with cancer, and then I go into, oh my gosh, you shouldn't have eaten that. You should have used sunscreen. You should have all these other things, right? That's second arrows kind of stuff. Or a divorce. I wasn't enough for him. I'm disgusting. He never loved me. Those are second arrows. And we shoot ourselves with 99 arrows when something happens to us. I lost my partner to death. I wasn't good enough for him. I should have been better. I should have done these things. You lose a parent to death. I wasn't a good enough daughter. I didn't show up enough. I didn't call her enough. Right? Those are second arrows. The pain you feel is enough. But then we shoot ourselves with this responsibility arrow that I did something wrong or I caused this to happen. And that's when we really go into the pit of suffering and despair. And it's because you're loving people, right? And arrogant, egotistical people don't shoot themselves with second arrows. But you guys do, right? The loving, caring people are the ones that shoot themselves with second arrows. Yeah, Jennifer.
So, can you speak to if that's really guilt or not guilt?
Yeah.
Or what is that?
Yeah. So guilt is such a big topic. Guilt is appropriate as an emotion when I intended harm. I meant to hurt you. I should feel guilty. Okay? Yeah, so just think about that. Guilt is appropriate when I intended harm. But when I am not intending harm, guilt is a second arrow. Guilt is unfair. Does that help? Yeah. Yeah. So I don't intend harm. I'm trying to be a very good daughter, juggling a lot of things. So guilt isn't the right emotion. Do I feel stretched of trying to be in 10 places at once? And do I need to work on priorities? That kind of stuff, yes, that's appropriate. Self-reflection is appropriate. But guilt that I'm a bad daughter, that's not appropriate when I'm not intending harm. Okay? So if you love that person, Guilt, look beyond, it's not guilt, it's something else. Yeah. Yeah. This next one, we got 2 more. This next one is super helpful with those scenes in your life where you cringe a little bit, like I made a mistake, I did a thing, I'm not proud of it, okay? We all have those moments. Sometimes those moments pop up at 3 a.m., right, and haunt you. This can be helpful in that moment of, okay, if I was at the movie theater and I was watching the movie of this girl named Ginger and she's going through her life and I'm watching all these scenes, and yeah, that thing happened. That scene where she messed up happened. But if I'm in the movie theater, I'm saying to that character, hang on, you're gonna get through this. There's so much better stuff ahead, I can see it for you. You're about to meet that guy in the next scene, right? He just moved into town. I know how this is gonna go, right? You're cheering her on. You're not crucifying her for that mistake. You see the potential for her. You see how this story is gonna get better. Did you have a blip? Yeah, but I understand why you did it too, because I've watched your movie. I'm watching your movie and I see everything going on in you. We don't do that for ourselves, right? We don't watch our own movie very often. We say, you shouldn't have done that, and you shouldn't have done that, and this cost you that, and you're gonna pay for it the rest of your life. We give ourselves life sentences a lot for cringe moments. So this can be a super helpful tool to zoom out and watch your life. Can you understand why she did what she did? Can you see what played into that? There's more to the story. Can you tell it differently than you always have? Yeah, I bet you can if you're watching it from afar. And then, are you cheering her on? Does it get better for her? Yeah. Is she redeemable? Yeah. Are there good things ahead? Yeah. So this can be such an impactful practice. It brings up emotion sometimes when I do this with people one-on-one, because you realize how you've crucified yourself for some of those scenes. Just replay them with love. And then the last one, this is what you guys are. Surround yourself with expanders. So expanders are people like a peony. They're about to bloom right now in my yard. They're opening, and I love it because it's always my metaphor for expansion. So let yourself open. Let yourself open. There's so much beauty in the opening. But it is so tempting to stay tight in a ball, right? Because opening might undo some things, or might expose you to something new, or might challenge your way of thinking in a way that feels uncomfortable. But with the peony, the beauty comes when it's fully open. And surround yourself with people that will help you open and expand and love you and encourage you. Look for expanders. So the opposite of expansion is constriction, right? People that make you go small, inward, tight in a ball, stressed, tense. Those people are limiting your expansion. So look for the people that let you breathe deeply, open up, feel safe, bring you joy, bring you love, bring you possibilities. Those are your people. Because if more of us are expanding, this is how love wins, right? This is how we expand love. So you in this room, you guys are expanders. You're all expanders for me, and we're expanders for each other. Thank you for an amazing year together. We have had such a great 9 months together, and we are on for a cool journey next year too. I think, is this our 3rd year going? Have we done this 2 or 3 years? 4th year, Marilyn? We're going into our 4th year. Wow. How cool is that? And we've had people come and go, so bring friends. It's okay to always be new. But yeah, this is a really, really cool opportunity to be together.